welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Vettori versus Dolidze II. Yeah, so without further ado, let's get into the predictions and let me slide the screen down and whatever case may be. But yeah, I think I'm going to go dog heavy this card, dog heavy. Let's go with 5 dogs. I tried to go 5 dogs last card, but some fights fell out. But yeah, if no fights fall out this card, I will have 5 dogs. So let's see if it rolls. This year has been a year of dogs, so I'm definitely going to play to that factor or to that trend. But yeah, full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Vettori versus Dolidze II. And yeah, let's get down to the first prediction. So in our first fight, we have in the women's flyweight division, we got Judice Duben versus Judice. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going ultra low confidence Judice Duben to beat Judice. And I don't have a ultra low confidence. I'm just saying, like, it's low, it's average, it's high, it's lock. It's just low. But, you know, I'm just saying that to just show you that I'm not very confident in this pick at all. But yeah. But you got to understand, Duben is definitely a wild card. She's very much a wild card. You could try to say, oh, she's this, she's not that, she's not this, she's not that. We don't really know what she is. She's a wild card. But we know she's 6-0. We know she has had some type of power. She knocked her opponent clean out with one punch. Whether her opponent had no chin or not, you got to respect her power. Seems to have a pretty good build, probably like good strength behind her. She just finally really got her taste of, you know, real true success. She won her Contender Series fight, so she's probably got more access to, you know, financial, you know, whether better sponsors, better gyms, UFC PI, better training partners. You know, all these things could change. She could be a whole different fighter. Judice, she's a solid fighter. She has fought some good fighters like Gabriela Hernandez to a very close fight and Ernesta Karankai, so we know how good she is. And she does seem like the better fighter. She should be the better fighter from basically what we've seen, but the thing is we have not seen Duben. And another factor here, Judice is 3-2, and we clearly see she's 0-2 underneath the UFC, TKO, whatever banner. Because she lost on Contender Series. Then she got in a close fight, she got her debut in the UFC. They gave her a contract anyway. She got a fight in the UFC. And then she lost again. So she's 0-2 in the UFC, 2 close split decision losses. And she's they got Duben is a plus 300 underdog versus a fighter who's 3-2, 0-2 underneath the UFC banner. And well, yeah, either way. And that's not a good look. Especially not to bet no money on. Like, if you ain't playing the dog, don't play this one at all. So I'm going Duben here to win. I've seen that she's been training with Miranda Maverick. I heard that she's been training with Rose Namajunas and some other fighters as well. She's put in the work. I heard somebody that actually physically was there in the camp, and they said that she was putting the work in, and you know, she's a dog. She has to like we don't know if she has bad gas, but if she's training with these good fighters like Maverick, who's a very high level wrestler, Rose Namajunas, who's a well-rounded fighter, she's out there, you know, showing grit and showing that dog in the camps and training with these fighters who are far more elite and far more confident than Judice. Then clearly there's more to her than just that little bit we have seen. But and also, yeah. But roughly it's one. I might want to say that I'm going with Duben because it's hard to pick a fighter who's 3-2 and 0-2 underneath the UFC banner and has not really even another thing. Judice is not a finisher, so it's not like she's going to come out here and knock her out. And even if Duben does have questionable cardio, like Judice most likely going to take her to a decision. Like even if it's in her favor, it's probably going to be a decision. Whereas Duben could knock her out potentially. Sub or potentially, like we don't know what Duben brings, so it's going to be a very much a wild card. And when I look at Duben's background, she does have like some striking background, like she's won some international wushu competitions. I don't know how high level wushu gets, but she has won multiple international level Duben competitions. But yeah, I'm talking too much about this one. We're not just really say, yeah, Duben's too big of an underdog going in with a fighter who's 3-2, and clearly the judges don't like Judice that much. So it just goes to close decision. Like again, you're gonna think third time's the charm. How many times you gonna get fooled before you just like, yeah. And also Duben, in her last fight, she was a big underdog, and what she do, she knocked her opponent out. But I'll say Duben by decision. I think it's gonna be a good scrappy fight. I think they're gonna probably disfavor Duben's, you know, power strikes over Judice's volume. But good close fight once again. But once again, Judice getting shafted on the decision in a close competitive fight, but not yet. Judice getting shafted, not Duben. Judice getting shafted once again for the third time in a row. And Judice Duben just landed the heavier shots. So in this one, I got Judice Duben via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in the women's bantamweight division. We got Josiane Nunes versus Priscilla Cachoeira. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Priscilla Cachoeira to beat Josiane Nunes. In another case, like why is any fighter in this fight a big underdog or a significant underdog or 2-1 underdog? This really should be like minus 110, minus 110, like dead even or something like that. That's how this fight should be. So Cachoeira is the underdog, and she's like minus, well, plus 150. I keep saying I'm getting the minus and pluses mixed up, but Cachoeira is like plus 154 last I checked in this one, going against Nunes. In reality, Cachoeira has fought better competition. She might have fought at 125, and Nunes has fought at 135, 145. But yeah, Cachoeira has fought better competition, and despite Nunes fighting basically two weight classes up at one point, she's a smaller fighter. She might be physically wider or something, but I don't really feel like she has all the strength. She has power hands to an extent, but I haven't really seen no great physical strength for having that much extra weight on her. And she's only 5'2". Cachoeira is 5'7", and Nunes is 5'2". So Cachoeira will have a significant height advantage. Reach advantage is actually in Nunes' side, I think, to 2 inches, but I don't really feel like Nunes even uses her reach very well. I feel like she just swings and reaches and jumps. And all I would say that Nunes does better than Cachoeira is maybe move her head just a little bit more. They both don't really move their head. They're really kind of essentially the same fighter, but just in 2 different weight classes. Yeah, she moves her head just a little bit more, and she keeps her hands up just a little bit more. But I think Cachoeira is faster. I think she has a more variety with her strikes than Nunes does. She controls range better than Nunes. I feel like Nunes, again, just rushing in, swinging, lunging a lot of times. If anyone I expect to have a grappling advantage, probably going to be Cachoeira. She's going to mix it up more. She'll have the speed advantage. She'll mix it up more. She has fought better competition, beat better competition. And we look at most people that Nunes has beat, and even a lot of people she has lost to. A lot of them not even in the UFC no more. I'm not even going to pull it right now, but with Ramona Pascal, not in the UFC no more. She could even knock her out. And also, you talk about the power of Nunes. Cachoeira has more finishes than Nunes. Nunes has like a lot of wins on her record by knockout, but in the UFC she only has 1 knockout win. She has 3 wins in the UFC, only 1 knockout win. It's not like she has even been fighting stellar competition. She had 1 knockout win, and she had dropped 2 opponents in her UFC career. And again, one of them is Ramona Pascal, who's again not even in the UFC, was in the UFC for a year and gone. And even I'm gonna talk too much, but just summing it up, roughly the same exact fighter. Cachoeira is coming from a more technical division. She has been in there with better competition, beat better competition, lost to better competition. And I think she's the more skilled fighter here, more experienced, will have a huge height advantage. And I think she'll be able to use it. I think she'll enjoy that advantage. And and also I think if anyone's going to mix it up, I think it's going to be Cachoeira. I can see this ending in the distance. That might be a smart play to under, might be. But I'll say Cachoeira by decision. A good fun fight, might end up being fight of the night, but Cachoeira just making the better adjustments, landing the cleaner shots, and winning the decision here. So in this one, I have Priscilla Cachoeira via decision. Now to our next fight. We have in the flyweight division, we got Andre Lima versus Daniel Barez. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going average confidence Andre Lima to beat Daniel Barez. And really, Andre Lima average confidence beat this guy Barez. But really, Andre Lima really has every single advantage here. He has a significant youth advantage. He's 10 years younger than Barez. Barez 36, 37. Lima's 26. Lima has full better competition, beat better competition. He's the better striker. He's the better grappler. And I really think he can win this fight out anywhere he wants to win it. But he might go just a smarter route, just mixing the grappling and dominate Barez in that aspect. But I could say, again, he can win it anywhere. But average confidence Lima to beat Barez here. I think he'll be able to outstrike him, mixing the grappling, and break him down with the full MMA game. And I see a late second round submission over Barez. So yeah, I think Andre Lima gets a second round sub here, late into the second round after, really breaking him down over the first and really dominating him in the second, then materializing that submission late in the second. So in this one, I have Andre Lima via second round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, we got Josias Musasa versus Carlos Vera. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going average confidence Josias Musasa to beat Carlos Vera. This is another one of these cases where I just feel like Musasa has everything to cover Vera. Vera should be the better grappler, as far as maybe technical skills, but Musasa just much stronger, much younger. Another case we got a fighter who's I think Musasa's roughly in his prime or just before entering his prime. And you got Vera who's 37 and never really been a stellar fighter. Primarily grappler, hasn't really shown much striking threat. Musasa has just came off a fight with a much better guy, a guy who has elite striking, much younger than Vera is, taller, longer. Again, just a much more skilled fighter. And Musasa was able to edge a close decision over him. Now he's getting a big step down in competition and fighting a guy who's don't even have great takedown offense. It then has probably okay BJJ. Musasa should be able to. Matter of fact, Musasa might be able to just take him down and beat him up on the ground if he wanted to. But realistically, the smartest approach probably just stuff his takedowns, which shouldn't be a big issue, and just pick him apart in the feet and put him away. And I'm going to lean to a first round knockout for Musasa. Stuff the takedowns, apply the pressure, set the shots up, and put Vera out in the very first round. So in this one, I have Josiah Musasa via first round TKO. Alright, now to our next fight. We have in the light heavyweight division, we got Dr. Njokuani versus Brenson Ribeiro. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going average confidence. Dr. Njokuani to beat Brenson Ribeiro. Brenson Ribeiro, he's athletic. He packs a big punch, packs a big kick. But the fight IQ on him is like almost non-existent. He just fights like a caveman. And that could work out in his favor at times. But I don't think in this one. I just think Dr. Njokuani is just so much cleaner, so much more technical. And I think he'll be able to set those shots up, settle into his ranges, get a timing on him, and be able to put Ribeiro's lights out. And I say, second round. I think Njokuani kind of, he's not like a quick finisher, so he's not gonna be a guy that's gonna like put you out real quick. Typically, I could see it being a quick knockout for Njokuani, but I'm gonna say like second round. Again, he's a guy that kind of fills you out, then puts you away. He's not a guy that's gonna typically just get that one big shot or just go at you from the jump. He's gonna set you up, fill you out, break you down, then put you away. Could even be a third round TKO, but yeah. Ribeiro, I like a little. I'm talking like Daffy Duck, but Ribeiro, I respect his athleticism, respect his power, and all that. Even maybe a somewhat of a grappling threat, maybe that you got to respect. But I think Njokuani has him covered everywhere. I think he'll be able to address the grappling that is present, and on the feet, I just think he's just so much sharper, so much more technical, and I think he'll be able to take advantage of the sloppiness of Ribeiro, break him down, and put him out in the second round via TKO. So in this one, I have Dr. Njokuani. I don't know why my keyboard not working. Like via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the strawweight division, we got Sam Hughes versus Stephanie Luciano. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Stephanie Luciano to beat Sam Hughes. Low confidence Luciano to beat Hughes. And at one point, not even too long ago, like literally like 2 fights ago, Luciano had very questionable wrestling defense, very questionable grappling defense. But I really would say more so, not even the grappling. Yes, it has questions there. But it was more so the wrestling. Like, can you get up? Like, she already showed that she can handle herself on the ground in the past. She could get back up. But she did show that she kind of was easy to take down. Kind of easy to hold down. But, she was defensively sound as far as on the ground and not giving them no submissions. But in her last fight, she fought the same opponent she had issues with on the Contender Series. And she dominated her opponent. I don't think her opponent got a single takedown. So she clearly showed that she's young. She's still involved and she can make big adjustments from fight to fight. Because literally she had a Contender Series fight, went to a draw. Then they had a rematch right after that. Both of them made it to the UFC. They rematched in the UFC, and Luciano shut down her takedowns and picked her apart for 15 minutes. So clearly she shows she can make the adjustment. And Sam Hughes, I don't feel like Sam Hughes' wrestling is all that great, but you still got to respect it. Sam Hughes has beat a lot of these fighters that have been in the same position as Luciano, so it wouldn't be surprised if she did it again. But yeah, I feel like Sam Hughes, I wouldn't say it's her technical striking or her technical grappling. It's more so her grit that wins her fight. Like, she can be losing fights a lot or maybe drop it the first round. Then in the second round, she gets the takedown. And I don't feel like Luciano is a fighter that slows down. I feel like more so with Luciano in the past, it was just the wrestling, the grappling, the takedown defense that would issue. And I feel like she could make an adjustment in that. I feel like she definitely could put a value for 15 minutes. And, if she can stuff your takedown in the first round, well, I think she can stuff in the second and third. So her pacing is not her issue. So I feel like Luciano can address the grappling enough for Sam Hughes. Still see it being a close fight. But I think Luciano will continue to show improvement in her takedown defense. And I still think she's the much more technical striker here. Much younger fighter here. Much higher ceiling on her. And I think she'll be able to address the grappling. For the most part, maybe hold Hughes to 2 takedowns or less. And maybe like 3 minutes of control time at most over 15 minutes. And I think she'll be able to just, outstrike her by like 20 significant strikes, if not more. And beat Hughes in a, close competitive decision, but clear enough that Luciano did enough to win maybe 30-27, 29-28, but yeah, clear enough decision. It should be no split. So in this one, I got Stephanie Luciano via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the heavyweight division, we got Waldo Cortes-Acosta versus Ryan Spann. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Ryan Spann to beat Waldo Cortes-Acosta. And yeah, this is a good fight right here. Or is it a good fight or is it a good dog spot? I think it's a good dog spot. Good fight, maybe, maybe not. But yeah, Walter Cortes-Acosta has already lost to a former mid-tier, low-tier light heavyweight in what's that dude name? I'm about to say what's that man name? Oh, Rogerio de Lima. He already lost to a mid-tier former light heavyweight, and that was Rogerio de Lima. I think he also lost a unanimous, not even a split. And I think Ryan Spann is a much more technical fighter than Rogerio de Lima. Maybe don't have the same. Well, he does have power. I can't even act like he don't have power, but I definitely think de Lima cracks harder than him. And, he definitely will settle more into heavyweight than Ryan Spann, because this is Ryan Spann's debut heavyweight fight, where it was by the time Marcos Rogerio de Lima fought Cortes-Acosta, Marcos Rogerio de Lima was already a veteran heavyweight by that point. But nonetheless, I think it's not like Costa gonna have such a big size advantage over him. Costa carries a lot of weight in the gut region. He might even be able to low-key make light heavyweight if he goes in shape. Ryan Spann is, I think, 1 inch taller than him, actually, and has a 1 inch reach advantage. So they're the same age. Ryan Spann is 1 inch taller, has a 1 inch reach advantage, has fought way better competition, and has had way more fights at this level. Like twice as much experience, 1 inch taller, 1 inch longer reach, same age. BJJ black belt, long time BJJ black belt. And at one point, Costa had a very questionable takedown defense. Who has really tried to take down Costa recently? So I think Ryan Spann could win the striking battle. Matter of fact, I'm gonna say second round sub for Ryan Spann. I can do a good job of chewing the legs of Acosta. I don't feel like Acosta has such a great background. He was a journeyman can boxer. That's his background. When you see striking, like, he has some good striking, but for the most part, his power has not been consistent. He mainly just throws overhands without no setup. Barely a resistant jab. Ryan Spann has a better jab, and you rarely hear that Ryan Spann has a better jab than anyone. But his Spann showed in his fight against what's his name, Dominic Reyes. That jab has power. He might not throw it much. He might not be that smart with it, but if he throws it, it has power, and it could put you out with that punch. So Ryan Spann will be able to use that reach, use that jab, set up his own shots. I think he's much more technical than Acosta. Also has that BJJ background, and Acosta still hasn't really shown, like, his takedown defense has improved so much. Because who has really tried to take down Acosta recently? Because most of the heavyweights right now in this era don't really grapple. Maybe back in like 2007, a lot of heavyweights, like, the Nogueira, the Frank Mears, the I don't know. There was a lot of fighters back then, like Randy Couture's. There was a lot of grapplers at heavyweight back then. Nowadays, it's like 4 grapplers at heavyweight. So he hasn't really fought any grapplers. So Ryan Spann could definitely look to mix that in. And also somebody said Ryan Spann has questionable cardio, but Acosta doesn't fight a pace that's going to get you tired. A guy, somebody that's throwing overhands with no setup is not going to get you tired. That's going to get them tired. Like this, I can see somebody pressuring you. They stick you with a jab. They ripping the body. They feigning heavy and stuff. They got you danking the whole time, and they got you moving the whole time. That could tire you out. But a guy that just can't cut the cage off, can't cut the ring off, just throws overhand with no setup and spams it. No leg kicks. Really nothing on his side that's going to tire you out. Ryan Spann could be good for 40 minutes. But yeah, Ryan Spann is a bit of choke artist, but I think he should have this one. I think he's a more technical fighter here. And I'm looking at like a club and sub, second round sub for Ryan Spann. Probably mixing in the leg kicks, sticking the jab, frustrating Acosta. They made it set him up, walk him to something, hurt him, take him down, ground and pound, subs him, second round. So in this one, I have Ryan Spann via second round submission. Now to our next fight. We have in the bantamweight division, we got Su Young Yu versus AJ Cunningham. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Su Young Yu to beat AJ Cunningham. So yeah, Su Young Yu just seemed like the much more composed fighter. Fought better competition, beat better competition, has fought at a higher level. AJ Cunningham, just kind of got brought in the UFC on short notice, got picked apart at not lightweight, but at lightweight. I think Su Young Yu should have all the advantage, but again, it's still very much a question mark. Because I haven't really been so impressed with Su Young Yu's striking, I haven't been so impressed with his grappling, but he has full high-level competition and has held his own there. Whereas AJ Cunningham, I have not seen him fight really good competition. The one time he did in the UFC, he got picked apart like a can. So Su Young Yu coming off the road, which is another place which is another reason I'm not gonna have a great confidence. I don't really typically have great confidence in, road fighters because they're mostly missed and hit. But he should have one. It seems like a fight where they're trying to give Su Young Yu a win, basically, what it feels like. And I'm going to say like a second round sub. Probably going to be able to apply the pressure after after the fight settles in a little bit. Set his shots up, get his takedown in, start to break down Cunningham, then submit him late second round for Su Young Yu. Yeah, I just think it just levels to it. And I think Su Young Yu has fought at a higher level won at a higher level. AJ Cunningham just has not shown that level or the ability to compete at that level. And yeah, that's it. But by no means am I greatly confident. And the value is terrible on this one, so I would not advise you to bet on that. But hey, maybe play the end of distance, maybe play the sub. But again, very hesitantly. But I would say Su Young Yu, second round submission. So in this one, I have Su Young Yu via second round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, we got Damon Blackshear versus Cody Gibson. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'm going low confidence Damon Blackshear to beat Cody Gibson. Cody Gibson has looked good in his last two fights, but when you look at the guys he's beaten, really in his whole career in the UFC, it's really been mostly guys that are older than him. Matter of fact, I think, relevant career, his comeback to the UFC, and even some of his fights prior to when he was first in the UFC, been older guys. And even his road outside the UFC has been older guys. Like he beat a washed version of John Dodson, and then he got back in the UFC. He lost the finale of Tough in a very close decision that could have went his way, but he lost nonetheless. But then we look at his wins. Brian Kelleher, like 38 in beyond wash. 38-year-old. So Brian Kelleher, and who's the other guy he beat? Chad Anhandling. Both of those guys are like 37, 38, so like 1 year older than he is. Now he's going in with a 30-year-old Blackshear, who's big, young, strong, probably still hasn't even fully hit his stride. The better striker, definitely has much more power, and definitely probably a strong submission artist. I think the only thing that Cody Gibson has over him is length, and he has maybe cardio. But I think Blackshear, and also look at who Blackshear has for. Who has he lost to? He lost to Montel Jackson. He did get starched, which is not a good look. But Montel Jackson, young in his prime fighter, who's probably going to be climbing the rankings very soon. It could be a guy that could be like a wild card for a guy that could potentially win the belt, like a wild card. Montel Jackson has a lot of talent. He could be a guy that if he locks in, he could be a champion, like similar to like a Leon Edwards. Like they were around, they had high talent that maybe for a point of time they kind of fell off, or people didn't lost. People weren't saying him as a future champion. Then they rise to the occasion and become champion, like that sense. Or like a Bilal, nobody really ever had high hopes in him, but he always was consistent. Then he became champion. So Montel Jackson, elite fighter, and definitely a sleeper pick for a guy that could be a champion in the next 2-3 years. Sleeper pick. And then Mario Batista, another sleeper pick for a guy that could be potentially champion in 3 years. I'm not saying he would, but if they became champions, it would not surprise me. They have the skill, the talent. They're still young enough, and they're still getting better, and have put on great performance here and there. So, and he lost to two elite guys who still sub 35, and he himself is a guy that's just 30 and still probably got 3 more years, if not more, of his prime, and only gonna get better. But yeah, Blackshear should be the better striker. He should be the better grappler here. Only thing kind of like length and cardio could be an issue here, but I see Blackshear being opposed to his youth, his size, his strength and power, his striking advantage, and being able to clip Gibson in the first, and then hop on the submission and get Gibson out of there in the first round, maybe around the 3-minute mark of the first round. So in this one, I got Damon Blackshear via first round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the lightweight division, we got Alexander Hernandez versus Kurt Holobaugh. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'm going low confidence Kurt Holobaugh to beat Alexander Hernandez. I don't really love the age of Holobaugh. He's not the most consistent fighter. At the end of the day, his record in the UFC is 2-5. But he's coming off a good win, a fight he was supposed to lose. He went out there and put on a great performance and definitely had to rally through. Hernandez is a guy, still young. Holobaugh's like 38. Hernandez is only like 31, 32. So this really should be a fight Hernandez should win. But you can never really put trust in Hernandez. I think Holobaugh's veteran experience will come through a lot. Not just a veteran UFC-wise, but he has fought around a lot of different scenes, been to a lot of different gyms, and been in the game for a very long time. And also, he has come up short a lot. I don't think he's ready to be cut from UFC or give up his dreams. Whereas Hernandez, I feel like he mentally checks out. Like Holobaugh, it's going to come down to whose mental, whose grit is more. And I think Holobaugh is definitely more gritty between the two. They're both well-rounded. They're both skilled. But I think Holobaugh is more seasoned. He's tougher, mentally tougher. And I think he could push the pace much better down the stretch. I think this fight could be like very close. Hernandez maybe get a strong start to the first round, but Holobaugh being rally, similar as he did in his last fight. Maybe get some late takedowns, get some late control, maybe clip Hernandez late in the fight and just push the pace down the stretch. And I see him winning probably like a close split decision over Hernandez. So like a very close fight. Definitely pick him. Probably one of those fights where you like, it could have went either way. Whoever wins might be like, oh, that guy didn't win, and people playing in robbery. But I think Holobaugh's going to do just enough, and I think he's going to be the one that's going to be definitely pushing much harder down the end of the fight, down the stretch of the fight. Whereas Hernandez, again, typically fights, that's when he's fading, like down the stretch of the fight. So close fight, lean to the tougher fighter. And also it doesn't hurt the fact that Holobaugh is the dog in this one. But yeah, Holobaugh being the dog, close fight, and the guy that's stronger down the stretch, and the career-wise has been the more mentally tough fighter. So in this one, I got Kurt Holobaugh via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the featherweight division, we got Kevin Vallejos versus Seungwoo Choi. And how do I feel about this one right here? I'm going average confidence, Kevin Vallejos to beat Seungwoo Choi. And Seungwoo Choi is definitely a live dog. You know, definitely not to be slept on. Vallejos has a high ceiling. He had an amazing performance against John Silva in a loss. Very crisp boxing. There's definitely some question marks like where is his grappling at? And Seungwoo Choi might be to mix that in and get some takedowns. But I can feel a little, if it was the fact that Seungwoo Choi, I'm not saying I would pick Seungwoo Choi if this didn't happen, but it does help me shift Vallejos from a low to an average given the fact that Seungwoo Choi has been knocked out in a lot of his recent fights. And Kevin Vallejos definitely has power, definitely has clean boxing, real crisp boxing, good jab, you know, good body work, good combinations, good defense. It's more so the experience of Choi, the power of Choi, and the grappling, because we don't really know where Vallejos' grappling is at. And the region Vallejos comes from, you know, they're not really known for grappling, so it could be a case that Seungwoo Choi is able to derail the young fighter. And also Vallejos is also still very young. I think he's only like 24, 25 or sub 25, so still a very young fighter. And these guys that are that young are still subject to kind of drop some of these fights, you know, where they're supposed to come in and win and dominate, but they sometimes drop these fights, like they kind of just drop the ball and they take it as a learning lesson. So it might seem like, oh, the John Silva fight was the learning lesson, but he might have two or three more learning lessons, or yeah, might have two more, one more, two more learning lessons before he really locks in. But I think Vallejos should be able to win this one. I think his grappling speed to hold up. It's not like Seungwoo Choi has ever really initiated a very high pace grappling approach or high, you know, he had never really initiated a very heavy grappling approach ever as far as in the UFC. And one of his fights, I feel like he could have won that fight, but he waited till like the third round, I think, to really initiate his grappling. So yeah, he hasn't really been a guy that has really used his grappling so effectively or so consistently. But I think Vallejos will be able to hold up in the grappling. I think he'll be able to address what Choi brings. And I think he'll be able to put the combination together, put the pressure on Choi, and I think he'll be able to put Choi out early second round via TKO. So in this one, I have Kevin Vallejos via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division in our co-main event, Zaleski versus Chidi Njokuani. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence in Zaleski to beat Chidi Njokuani. And if this was the case, like Chidi was like the younger fighter, oh, he's like 30 years old and he's on the come up, and Zaleski's like 37, or if Chidi really had high perspective to be a guy that can challenge for the title or really ascend the division, yeah, I might lean Chidi here, but low confidence, Zaleski. Chidi's like basically the same age as Zaleski, maybe 2 years younger. Both guys are veterans, but Zaleski has fought at a higher level much more consistently than Chidi Njokuani, and he's a more well-rounded fighter. And typically in these situations, when they're kind of similar age, and one guy has been fighting at a higher level more consistently, and he has not, you know, achieved the belt, and kind of on that, I guess, twilight of the career where they just already won the belt, accomplished everything, and they just hanging around for extra glory. Unless it's that situation, typically the guy who's still hungry and roughly the same age as the other guy, typically, and also again has fought at a higher level longer, more consistently, and has shown higher level skill more consistently, typically wins these fights. Whether it be fluke, whether it be clean knockout, clean submission, or closest, they seem to typically win these fights like 80% clip. When it's the guy, again, when it's the veteran who's the former champion and kind of washed at that point, those guys, and not really hungry no more, those guys probably lose like in these fights probably like 45%, like 55% of the time. But let me stop saying numbers and all that stuff. But yeah, Zaleski, they're both, it's not like Njokuani is the younger fighter, like the much younger fighter, much hungrier fighter, this or that. Both of these guys are older veterans, but Zaleski has fought at a higher level. He mixes up more than Njokuani. Njokuani is primarily just a striker, has mixed up grappling very little, whereas Zaleski has a BJ black belt, dynamic striking. And I think if the fight is going rough on the feet, he can definitely mix into the grappling. And also, I think Zaleski is just a much tougher fighter. There has been several fights where Njokuani just checked out, whether he just got grappled up and he just mentally checked out and just gave up takedowns, or he was doing good in the fight, then the opponent started hitting him back and he just started to crumble, like against the electric or Barack Obama. I mean, what's his name? Brazilian Obama, whatever dude's name is. The guy who just lost to Jerry Kennedy. But he has been several fights where he either checked out due to the grappling, or he just checked out when his opponent started to apply pressure. Whereas Zaleski, I feel like when he's typically lost, like, or been stopped, it's like he got his switch put off. It's never been, I've really seen a fight where Zaleski just quit. I feel like even if decision fights, he's fighting to the end. And unless you put his lights out, Zaleski's a dog. He'll keep fighting. Whereas I don't feel like Njokuani is a true dog. He's a good scrapper, good technical fighter, but he can be a bit mentally weak. And going to favor Zaleski here. I say this goes the distance. I think it'll be a competitive fight throughout. But Zaleski, when it comes down to who needs to push, I think Zaleski's going to be one pushing. And that's going to probably be in the crucial rounds, the crucial minutes, getting the takedowns or landing the big strikes, and winning the fight over Njokuani in a competitive, close decision. But Zaleski just doing what it needs to be done to get his hand raised. So, in this one, I have Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos, or Elizeu Zaleski, via decision. Now on to our main event, we have in the middleweight division, we got Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze II. These guys fought before. Marvin Vettori won a close decision. I think that was a 3-round fight. Now this is a 5-round fight. But how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Roman Dolidze to win. And once again, it doesn't hurt the fact that Dolidze is the dog that I'm picking him. I picked Vettori successfully the first time by decision. And I'll pick Dolidze this time. Is the underdog to win by decision. And I think it will be another successful prediction. But yeah, Roman Dolidze this time to win by decision here. I feel like Vettori, he's the younger fighter. I just feel like he's the one who's been declining. He's been inactive. He hasn't shown any improvement. If anything, he has declined. Like, he'll go in with fighters who, he should have a sizable grappling advantage over there. And he won't go for a single takedown. He'll wait till he's getting hurt to go for the takedown. And by that point, he's too hurt to even set up a good takedown. And the striking, at one point kind of improved, but I feel like it's still about the same level, if not worse, than when he fought and beat Paulo Costa. I feel like he's been, even though he's a young fighter, he has not really shown any improvement. If anything, he has shown, again, decline, despite being young and, being 30, 31, 32, however old he is. This is an age where he should be showing new peaks, but he hasn't been showing anything new except decline. Roman Dolidze, I think he's like 35. He's been showing improvement. Like, he went against Anthony Smith, his striking looked a lot improved. Still looks stiff, but a lot less stiff than it usually does against Anthony Smith. So his striking is improving. His takedowns are improving. Like, at first he barely could get a takedown. Now he's getting cleaner takedowns. His takedown offense is improving. His striking is improving. He's setting shots up better. His cardio is improving. He went, some further in these rounds and stuff, and not fading is bad. So, yeah, Dolidze is improving. He's on a 2-fight winning streak. 2 good performances, whereas Vettori is coming off a bad loss to Cannonier, where he kind of had an okay start, and then just got beat from pillar to post the rest of the fight. Was getting moshed up. So I don't know where his mental's at. Haven't seen no improvement. I think it's going to be a close fight, just as it was the first time. But, the league is also going to have extra motivation seeing how good these Caucasus fighters are doing. Like, this Caucasus region fighters, like the Ankalaevs, especially the other Georgian fighters like Topuria and Merab are doing. So he'll get extra motivation from those guys as he has been getting his past 2 fights. And close fight, and they match up pretty well. Neither of them are particularly great strikers. But Dolidze, again, has confidence. So they're pretty much like almost the same fighter. I think Vettori is a slightly better striker. Dolidze is a slightly better, matter of fact, pure grappling. Dolidze is probably a lot better grappler, pure grappling. They fought in a BJJ competition. Dolidze would probably sub him. They fight in a striking match in kickboxing. They probably go to a split decision. Either way, but probably lean to Vettori. But, yeah. But momentum's on Dolidze's side. I feel like he's more motivated. He's the one showing improvement, and can't really get behind Vettori, especially as a favorite here. I think Roman Dolidze will be able to outstrike him, probably land the heavier shots. Maybe not value-wise, but he'll probably land the more significant strikes. And I also feel like Vettori probably going to make some low IQ mistakes in this fight, as he has made in a lot of his recent fights. He probably going to initiate a takedown against Dolidze. He might be slightly out striking Dolidze, but then he might feel pressure from Dolidze, and he'll shoot a takedown, kind of similar to what Jack Hermanson did. Because Jack Hermanson realistically probably could have won a clean decision just striking with Dolidze. And then he going to shoot a takedown for whatever reason, and he got out-grappled and TKO'd on the ground. And I feel like Vettori can make dumb decisions like that. Fight are probably going to be pretty close, but Dolidze probably be pressuring, probably be cracking him a bit, and Vettori going to feel the pressure. He going to, mentally check out, go for a takedown, and end up just getting mounted, reversed and mounted, or his back taken and get ground and pounded and give up a crucial round, and then take so much damage that he's not going to be there the rest of the fight. And Dolidze is going to be able to just pressure him, break him down and secure takedowns and win a decision. But either way, I see a close decision here. But this time, Dolidze gets his hand raised. First fight was close. A lot of people felt that Dolidze won the first one. This fight will be close, I think. But this time, I feel like judges will give it to Dolidze. And I think it'll be close, but I think it'll be clear enough that Dolidze will win. And yeah. So, in this one, I have Roman Dolidze via decision. And I'm going to run through the picks real quick. So, first one, Duben, low confidence to win by decision. Priscilla Cachoeira, low confidence to win by decision. Andre Lima, average confidence to win by submission round 2. Josias Musasa, average confidence to win by KO first round. Let me stop saying, but yeah. Njokuani, average confidence, KO second round. Stephanie Luciano, low confidence decision. Ryan Spann, low confidence submission round 2 over Waldo Cortes-Acosta. Su Young Yu, low confidence submission round 2. Damon Blackshear, low confidence submission round 1. Holobaugh, low confidence decision. Kevin Vallejos, average confidence KO round 2. Zaleski, low confidence decision. And last but not least, once again, Roman Dolidze, low confidence decision. And yeah, so that concludes my fight predictions for the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Vettori versus Dolidze. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.